All right. That is a song that I know won't get vetoed on YouTube. And that would really kind of suck, because that first time I did it about a few months ago, that happened. And that song was written several years ago by a good friend of mine, Joey Badalmente, whatever his stage name is now these days, and I remixed it. And it was kind of a fun little project with a song that I don't even know if it even made a public airwave or YouTube at all. So, I know there's going to be like hardly anybody watching tonight, so I'm just going to talk to myself and basically, probably my son. And my name's Chris Anthony. Let me see if I can put my name up there. I don't know if I can do it. Let me see if I care. Let me know how she did it. Let me see how did we do this? Did we do a brand? Oh, default. Okay, so I don't know how we did that. That was weird. Let's see. I'm just playing around right now. What was the overlay? Oh no, that's not it. I'm just trying to get used to this thing. Oh, we can do a video clip overlay. All right, cool. So I'm learning the whole thing here. Oh, there I am. There you go. Donna used to do this. I wish she was here. That's my friend Donna. And we used to do something on Facebook. And what was really cool about it, let me turn this on. Ah, there you go. That's better. It's like my little LED floodlight. I always forget to turn that on because for a long time I didn't use it. I don't know who's watching besides me, but if somebody is watching, if you want to let me know in the comment section. Is there a comment section? I hope there's a comment section. If not, you can text me and let me know if there's a comment section. So it's a Monday, it's July 27th, 2020, and I started off on Facebook in 2008 or 9, I think it was 2008, and then through the course of the last several years, from trying to make acquaintances with friends and family and old loves and old flames or whatever, I think that I have went all over the gambit because social media was in its infancy, and I think, let's see, hold on, I'm doing this Facebook thing right now because I think some people are trying to find the link. I really wanted to minimize the audience before I get into the history again, because I know that I wasn't certain how, it's over here, I wasn't certain how I was going to be received, and I wasn't trying to be received originally because when my son died in early September, Labor Day weekend, let's see, hold on. I posted live, and I know that people were kind of, I saw for months prior, let's say I was doing some kind of event as a DJ somewhere, or I saw people doing it. I think there was only like a small segment of people that had the tenacity to go live on Facebook via their phone or device or whatever, and just talk about anything and do that close up, because you can only get that far, and so your face is like pressed up almost near the camera. And I knew people kind of were more turned off by it than not. So what had happened was I just kind of one day after my son was in the hospital the night of August 31st, September 1st, which was a Friday rolling into Saturday night, when I got the call. Well, I shouldn't say call. I knew something was wrong. I came home late from work, and I sat in my driveway from like 1:45 to 3 a.m. and I knew something was wrong. And within a couple hours, by 4:30 a.m., a state trooper had come into my driveway, knocked on the door, and showed me on his large smartphone a picture of my son's license, and I knew something was wrong, and it was. So then I decided to post on the way up to the hospital in Flint, the Flint area, what had transpired. And because I knew it was like 4:30 in the morning, between 4:30 and 5, and I was letting people, that family, friends, my parents, my brothers, anybody, that they would probably see it, or hopefully somehow, because texting wasn't working completely, and the rest is history. And they allowed me to take pictures and kind of go live with it, and I wasn't trying to, because my heart was beating out of my chest the entire time, and my worst nightmare was realized when my son was in a coma, so to speak. And so then as days had progressed, I was going through the whole process in the hospital, because he was airlifted to another hospital in Ann Arbor, U of M, Mott's Children's Hospital, which is one of the 3 major hospitals there. And it was our last hope, because it was the best hospital in the state. And we were very hopeful that they could have done something for him. And of course, that's when it gathered the attention through a couple of my friends, family, and of course some prominent DJs, one national, one local. And but I kept sharing the story even through the funeral and after. And then as the days, and shortly after, a week or two after, I was going live from his room using this very phone right here, and I was expressing my emotion, my anger, my frustration in raw form. And I didn't know how it was going to be taken. I didn't even think about how it was going to be perceived, because I knew that when I was in the hospital, I had people I hadn't seen in years, but that were following me. You know how you have friends on Facebook that are, maybe converse with you daily or weekly or whatever, and you become familiar with them even though you haven't seen them in decades. And so they feel that, what's the term I'm looking for? They feel that comfortableness that they can talk to you, even though we've not physically seen each other in a long time, to tell me exactly how they feel. And some people were telling me, oh, you got to stop posting from the hospital. It's, focus on your kid and don't post. And then all of a sudden, so I stopped, not 100% because of that, but I thought, okay, why not? And plus I was caught up in it. But then next thing, hours later, I was getting texts from the same people, no, fill us in, and people were gravitated to that. So that same thing kind of happened with this particular thing. And as the holidays went by, because, there was Labor Day weekend, which, of course, that's where the nightmare began, if you will, the incident. And then there was, his birthday was September 13th, which he would have been 17. And then October came along, Halloween. Then my birthday, my daughter's birthday, his sister, in November. We were like a week apart. And of course, all the holidays. And then by the time Thanksgiving came around, people started backing off a little bit. And even on holidays, and I was home by myself. And I started taking it like, wow, because I was warned during that time that people were going to go back to their lives within days or a couple weeks, which makes sense. I understand that. This was an unusual one for me because he was my best friend. He was my son, and we were in each other's lives every day, day and night. Not just with school. He'd call me from school, text me from school, whatever, during his breaks and whatnot. And then it became a process where you're still slightly in denial, even though I kind of pride myself on being kind of a realist or a pragmatist or whatever you want to call it. And I thought, okay, but it's almost like you're hoping that the world will stop and reverse for this one exception, for this one person. And people were sending me all kinds of things, and I was seeing things, the color pink, X's that represented the number 10, which was his number in middle school. And he was successful as an athlete, taking them to a championship at Smith here in Troy, to a championship that they hadn't seen in 3 decades. And he was good in a lot of sports. And even though I was physically fit and he was becoming physically fit in a different way, better way, because we had been started training together when he moved in shortly after his 16th birthday, 9 months prior to his death. We had a lot of goals and ambitions, but it was funny because I wasn't trying to be the sports father. You got to play this and that, and you got to do this. It had zero interest in my life, to be honest with you. But I was very interested at the same time, equally, that he was so into it, because as a kid he really wasn't. He was kind of just that awkward, for the first, I think till he was like 5 or 6, 7 maybe, where he just didn't really even care sports. And then all of a sudden, about 8 years old, he started doing really good in baseball. He could throw, he could catch, he could hit. He was pretty good. He was, on a scale of 1 to 10, he was probably like a 6, close to a 7. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so ironically, I would throw a ball to him. I could throw a ball without even looking 50 plus feet in the air, it seemed like, and or at least 20, 30 feet in the air. And I wouldn't even look, and it would always land in his glove, no matter where we were, even at Comerica, where the Tigers play. So it was like almost like a miraculous thing. I was like, wow, is this really happening? And my business was doing really bad here in Detroit, and I don't have a lot of successful friends here as much as I do everywhere else. And my resources kind of dwindled. So I was fighting a battle with a custody battle prior to that, and my divorce and everything, and it consumed everything I had. And I'm kind of going all over the place here a little bit, but bear with me, because this is the first time I'm actually feeling awkwardly comfortable, because with Facebook, I knew that I have 2,000 friends on Facebook, a little over, several hundred I've never even met. And I know that I realized right away, shortly after he had passed, that most people probably took a left turn or a right turn to avoid me. They took the long way around to not have to see me, communicate with me, or whatever. And I think that probably happens to a lot of people when they're going through certain things. The coronavirus, which I have no fear of because of my health and because if something took me today, I'd be relieved. I'd be like, I'm off this planet. I'm thinking of all these book titles, and something that came to me yesterday was Earth, a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Amen. But it showed me that people really don't care, and they're not capable. I would say, and this is the raw part, that I don't have to worry about losing friends on Facebook. I think more than 60% of the people in the world, in America, even on my Facebook list, don't have the honor, the integrity. Like, oh, I'm not afraid of this, I'm not afraid of... They're afraid of everything. They're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of gas prices going up. They're afraid of a snowy day. They're afraid of somebody leaving them. The people that say they have no fear have all kinds of fear. They're all in, it's a denial. It's a dramatic denial, and I see it, and I've been tested as a civilian and as a firefighter when I jumped out of my car as both to help people, and I'd see people on a sunny day and they don't know what to do, all smart, religious, political, whatever you want to call it, and I don't care what shape they're in. I've seen guys, big bodybuilders with tattoos and their hats on backwards. They're the easiest guys to drop. I've never lost a fight to a bouncer in my life, not even 2 or 3 of them. They're the easiest. I don't care if they can bench press a truck. Oh, I was the wrestler. Let me help you. They move like a slow motion turtle. So when you look at that, and then you look at how people really are that aren't even as physically fit, I'm thinking, what tested them? What situations have they been in? Because they never tell you, oh, I've been through this before, or I can handle it. They have no training. They have no experience. They have no idea what real fear is. I'm not saying everybody. I said 60%. Then there's people that have gone through all kinds of things. Losing a relative, through leukemia, cancer, a house fire, suicide. You name it. Pick something. And those are the people that have empathy. Or some people, they go off the deep end. And I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. It's like, God, do I go through this door? Do I go through that door? And then when you try to count on people, whether you've been there for them or you've helped them in the past or not, and I know I have done all those things, and I had to back up a little bit and say, God, a lot of people aren't really capable of that, even with a good career or money. Most people, their way of giving back is throwing a holiday party or a pool party or something like that. Or, hey, invite you on the boat. And those are the normal things, and that's okay. But for me, my son wanted to give back. He knew I love giving back. I love helping. I love contributing. I love participating. Those are 2 words I taught him. I told this to people on Facebook. I don't see people participating. I don't see people contributing, passing out food. People are afraid to give out toilet paper. What the F is that about, right? And I think to myself, it's not a wonderful world. It's a scary world. And I was trained to be tough. I was trained to be, whatever. And am I good at everything? Am I impervious to illness or bad weather or a bullet or crime? No, I'm not. I just have a better shot at it because of my background, my experiences. There's a lot of people like that. There's people, soldiers are like that. People, Marines are like that. A tough mother. Tough mother's like she'll protect her cubs. Some mothers, and some won't. So, there's good and bad in everybody. And my whole thought process was to figure out what I did wrong with my divorce or I didn't. And I realized it was the other person, not taken away, because I blamed myself for a lot of it. And the same thing with everything else in my life. I decided I'm going to do as best that I can. And I thought in the back of my mind, not just with this, but with things I did in the past before my son passed, in years even before he was born. I thought, the more I give back, and the harder I try, and the more humble I try to be, above and beyond any religion. And I was born a Catholic, trained through, I even graduated from a Catholic school. I studied the Bible. There's a picture of Jesus right here. And I realized it's all bullshit for the most part, at least for me. Now, I could talk to 100 other people and they'll probably say a different thing. But I haven't had that experience. I haven't had those experiences. So my purpose coming to YouTube is to look for the people that can identify a little bit more than the people that I've had on Facebook. Because I don't want to disassociate myself with people that don't understand or don't have a particular empathy, not sympathy. Sympathy is when they feel, feel sorry for me. And people do need sympathy. I mean, there's, maybe my daughter needs it. She's never asked me for it or anybody else. And everybody goes through something every single day. We were walking out down the street about less than a half hour before I came on. We were outside. It's pretty humid out. It rained. And I saw a sign on the telephone pole, the wooden telephone pole, and it was something stapled, and it was somebody was missing their cat. And to them, it must be traumatic because they went out of their way to print out a picture of this thing and put it in plastic so the rain and the weather wouldn't. You could see it was faded a little bit by the sun. And I thought, for somebody to feel that way, and we've all been there, we've lost a pet somehow, a cat, a dog, whatever, and it starts your heart. And that dog could chew your shoes and pee all over the floor and whatever, but as soon as it tears out the door, no matter what that dog has done or your child has done, you go, wait a minute, I forgot. There's a part of me that loves that species, that animal, that person. And so I was telling my daughter, I says, every day, no matter how bad our pain is, I want two things from you. One is that you always tell me how you feel, because I wish my son would have told me completely how he felt a lot sooner than he did, because we would have dealt with it better. The same thing goes for my daughter. I says, she's very quiet. She holds everything in. I've never seen her cry as much as she's been inside her little cocoon in her room. And she goes on, and she's done things since the holidays. I mean, it took her months to get out of that. But I'm sure she's still permanently scarred. And the pain and all that. So I didn't have a format. I never do. I just knew that I needed to leave the party that I created, the 2,000 plus people. It's probably actually it's probably close to 2020. I should go on Facebook and see how many. But I realized that very few people were really getting it. There was probably a couple dozen people at the end of my last thing, my last broadcast there. And I was even going out of my way to play music and things like that, which were fun, and I'm glad I did it. And people were connecting and having a good time. It helped them through the coronavirus crisis, the stuff on the news, like the protests. The Tigers lose to Kansas City in home opener. Their home opener was today. The Detroit Tigers lost. Well, go figure. You'd think they would have this virus or whatever as an excuse. But anyway. I will go back to Facebook occasionally. I will post pictures because every day they're sending me stuff that reminds me of something that happened a year ago, 5 years ago, all the way back to 2008. My son was born in 2002, so there you go. And even when he was taken from me for 4 years, I would see him intermittently before and after all that time. And once in a while, sneak in for a few minutes. And we always took some good photos, and same thing with his sisters. He's got some great sisters too. But I'm physically so drained right now, more than normal. Or when I typically have done this same setup with or without my daughter, and I had more energy. I was more vigorous. I was more stimulated. And I would see that it was very frustrating because it's like I see people when they post things, and I'm not an envious or jealous guy. I'm really not. I could care less. But I see people posting negative things or things that I think are positive, upsetting other people, and they would have a herd of people, countless numbers, into the double digits even. And I would get on a good Friday or Saturday maybe 10 people watching this. And I'm providing a place to escape, to talk. I'd even invite people on. I could have guests on here. And I had a couple good guests. I had a friend of mine who owns a carpet business, a very prominent lawyer. Another friend who, very nice guy, who had a telephone company, a couple DJ buddies of mine, and one more. Who am I forgetting? Oh, and yeah, another one that sets up some of the biggest stages in the world. So there was times, and I invited other people to come on. One of them was a sheriff from Flint, who's a friend of mine, but he's too busy right now, and I understand that. But I also invited other people to come on and talk about anything, their life, their passions, positive things, upbeat things, tell a joke, sing, do whatever. And it wasn't working, and it started to, that was one of the little tiny things that was eroding me a little bit. And there was a handful of people that wanted me to stay on, and say, oh, stay on. There's 6 of us, and I'm like, well, I can just do a group chat. But for anybody out there that is out there, I realized through all of that, it wasn't about helping just a couple people. It was, if I said anything that was positive or productive or that had any kind of meaning, even by accident, I didn't want to waste it on just a couple people. I wanted it to share it with 10 times that amount. That was me and my son's mantra, the number 10. 10 was our, the X, the numeral X. And it was cool because it was a cool symbol, and you see it all over the place. I mean, it's hard to not identify the number 10. And I decided I wanted it to be, and maybe it won't have any effect, but at least now I know it's going to not be encapsulated in the myriad of YouTube, where right now it's like a contaminated environment. It's like Mad Max. It's like the Thunderdome. It's like all the people have converted and turned into mutants, and the rest of them are struggling to get out. Like, help me, help me, help me, and I just go, listen. If this is the Zen that I'm looking for. I would rather be here with people that actually understand. And I invited a couple people from YouTube. I put a link on there. And I'm actually relieved that a lot of people aren't just checking in, because the real numbers of Facebook, when it says, let's say 300 people checking in, I know 250 of them are probably going, oh, did I just accidentally click on that? I gotta go. And I know I have a peace of mind right now, regardless of what I say right or wrong or how tired I feel, because I'm really drained. I don't, I'm around all kinds of people that don't wear masks and things like that, and are breathing on me, and I've never felt this physically drained in my life. And I don't know if it's something psychological, because I've been going through some stuff. I was at my son's former classmate, neighbor, friend from growing up here in Troy, graduate, and it was a pretty festive party, and I provided some music and stuff for it, and it subconsciously affected me. Like, I know that my son, who's getting college letters even today, University of Chicago, Stanford, and this school and that school, some pretty nice schools, John Hopkins even, and it's like, that'll never happen. So to be on display with a bunch of people that are familiar with me on my own world in Facebook, for them to judge me or look down upon me or feel a particular uneasiness, I kind of left a breadcrumb, like, okay, if somebody wants to come and peek their head in and see, they're here for the right reasons. And from that point on, this is kind of a weird intro for me for tonight's segment, because I only want to stay until 11 o'clock, and it's 10:39 Eastern Standard here. But it's like, hopefully a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, or whenever in the future, people might see it and then it can correspond with me and relate. They can make comments, they can send me messages, but they are here for the right reason and the only reason, and that's to talk. And it isn't talking about just the loss of a child, a sibling, or anything like that. It's to talk about life. It's to talk about solutions, how to get past the day. Like I told my daughter, I says, you know what? I can't tell you to be happier. Nobody can. And people try. It's like when I was at the hospital or at the funeral. People, the common thing, even with the most educated people, the most spiritually inclined, indoctrinated people that you can know, that may have a particular faith that they proclaim, they all had the same basic answers. I have no words. My condolences, and that became the norm, and it didn't bother me, like, because they didn't have the right words. I said, no, you're here. That's all that matters. You're here. There's no words. You being here is a billion words. A billion. But I noticed that after all of this stuff subsided, and people were going through things, and now that this coronavirus, COVID thing, created, it didn't just create a fear factor for people that really do believe in it, or the people that don't not believe in it, which is, and it's funny, it's become a political weapon, if you will. And I'm like, when you've lost a lot in your life, and this goes for anybody out there that has had that significant loss factor, it's like, it's not just losing things. The two things that people don't see in me as much is my appreciation on my worst day when it's hard to get myself out of bed. But also, and this is important, if not more important, that all the things that people, even the best people you know, that shock you with how they feel about other people because of what they perceive or don't perceive. Like I said, maybe it's the protest, or maybe it's the coronavirus, the COVID-19, or whatever the case may be. But it it's like those things aren't important to me. I mean, I'm physically healthy. I take a lot of supplements. I do all that. Does that make me impervious to this possible super flu or whatever people might call it? I don't even want to engage that part. It doesn't matter, because I'm not going to turn it into something more negative than it is. If it is a sickness, it's a virus that can get me sick, or a bad headache, or lose my taste and smell for a couple days or weeks, or lose work or whatever. That's one bad thing in itself, right? I'm not going to sit there and make it a topic of conversation for other people, especially a majority of the people I know, and it really shocks me. And I probably would lose friends in that, and I was never able to really say it as much, and I kind of did. And I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who anybody votes for. If you want to vote for the president again, vote for the president. Be American. That's great. If you don't want to vote for the president, no, that was all right. That's the fun part about it, being American. There wouldn't, if there wasn't two parties or two or more parties, the word vote wouldn't even exist, right? Think about that. We wouldn't have elections. It's like, you get the popular kid and you got the unpopular kid. Who's better qualified to be the president, class president, right? Or the Senate, or the commission, or the council, whatever you guys, whatever who you vote for, right? So it's the better person. May the better person, man or woman, win. But it's become such a vilification that you almost have to get in groups of people where they're ready to kill people regardless of how good they think they are, or how moral, or how religious. And then it makes you think, in the most powerful country in the world, where we have freedom, our freedoms have become egregious at best, because we're looking at people and vilifying them. And I keep thinking to myself, I said this several times today, I thought it quietly and out loud. I said, my son got out of here easy. Isn't that a scary thought? I lose my son and I'm envious of my dead son. Wow. And I told my daughter, I said, I can't make you happier. I don't know if I have the right words or not, or the right thoughts, or I'm going to say or do the wrong thing. Because, kids, as much as they love you, my kids have always been cool, and they've always been obedient, and they've always never crossed the line with me or anything. But I do know that there's a fine line with communication, because I thought I had a solid pipeline to my son, and at the end of it, I didn't. There was that one thing missing. And I was listening to adults who are educated or smart, geniuses, religious, whatever, and they had zero clue. They're very ineffective. Isn't that crazy? Our generation, our people, we're not always the best. And I know I'm not the smartest person in the world, which is, again, why I came here. Because I said, I'm looking for answers just like everybody else. I wasn't getting answers in Facebook. I was getting, I don't know what I was getting, to be honest with you. I was getting nice comments from a lot of people, even to this day, even today. And I'm grateful for that. That makes me feel good on behalf of my boy. But I told my daughter, I said, I cannot make you happier. They say, just try to be happy. And I said, I can't tell you to be stronger or more positive. I said, but what I can tell you to do on your worst day, even on my worst day, because, we're both in our own thing. It says, find as many things as you can find. Find as many things as you can find on every single day, even if it takes you 3 hours to get out of bed. Like me, I wasn't a big coffee drinker until, I turned 40. I found that out in Hawaii because they had Kona coffee, and I was in Kona. And I still got to add stuff to it to make it taste good. But it's one of my little tiny habits. It's something, I take this cheap coffee maker I bought from Costco for $25, and I add my stuff, and then I add Seattle's Best or Maxwell House, whatever, and that's one of my things. We make a smoothie. I do things. You find things. Play with your dog. Go on YouTube. Do something. Do at least 4, 5, 6 things every single day on your worst day, and those are going to be the things that propel you through that day, no matter how much you want to give up or do drugs or drink or whatever you're going to do that's going to be self-destructive, which most people do anyway, and look at it and make it think they're in denial of it, or they make it like it's normal. And it's hard for people to be positive anymore, and it's really killing me. I think it's physically killing me. Either I've got something in my chest, maybe I got lung cancer, or maybe I'm having a heart attack, or I don't know what's going on. I've never physically felt this weak in my entire life the last several days. Never. And I mean, I'm older, so maybe that's probably why. I don't know. Maybe my life is coming to an end. Maybe I'm at the end of my cycle, and that's fine too. If this is my last day, this is my last day. If this is my only show on Facebook, YouTube, I'm good. But a friend of mine, Marco, he gave me this book called Journey of Souls. And I was reading through all the book, and and it's a pretty interesting book. It's about it's about about my son and the afterlife and all kinds of stuff like that. And I got to say something, that even though this gentleman Marco, and I know his brother more than I know him, Tonino, but he didn't have a full understanding of me, my son. And I don't think he ever met him. But he was so kind to take me out a lot of times, get me bowling, get me active right after Dante had died. And I didn't have the strength or the energy to do it, but I obliged him several times. And he went out of his way to buy me a couple books, and this was one of them. And he even paid for the cable. When he converted to Comcast. And they came here and they fixed it. And some of the wires got loose outside or whatever, and that was the problem. So it wasn't anything Comcast did wrong. That was my fault. I should have, and I was making a big deal, hey, Comcast sucks and all that. You see, I'm human. I think we put too much merit on people for what their titles are in this life. And I think we believe that people are supposed to be good or held to a higher standard, but we find that's not true. We find them doing all kinds of stuff. Priests, popes, politicians, famous people. We hear they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing stuff. They're abusing other people they care about, they love. They're caught up in these scams or human trafficking or whatever the case is. Me, I can honestly tell you, you can go through my computer, you can come to my house, the door's always open. That's the last thing on my mind, is to hurt anybody, a person, a child, a woman, anybody. And I'm wondering what I did wrong to make all these things happen in my life, to live in a house that I can barely afford, to get to when I used to make a very good living. And I helped so many people. But I didn't mind that. What I minded is that my kids had to go through all they had to go through with the divorce, with the custody battle. Technically the divorce killed my son. It killed my son. My ex-wife was so caught up and consumed with being with somebody more successful, regardless of appearance, but more importantly, breaking up a family. Now, if I was abusive or I was a cheater, if I, whatever like that, then I would be the first to tell you. I deserve to be shot, purged, everything you can think of, and I deserve it. My kids deserve better. But my daughter's here. My son moved in at 16. She moved in at 18, Sabrina. And my youngest, she loves me in here all the time. If you've ever been on Facebook, you'll see. I might even put the last video, which signified and displayed the closeness that we have. And she's been around me the least of all three of my kids. So I think I did okay. But I'm trying to find answers, and I'm trying to find people. I'm trying to find people, and I'm trying to find solutions and answers to things, any and every single problem out there. There's not a cure and solution to everything. It's impossible. but to make it better instead of making it worse. And that's what another thing Facebook was doing. Facebook is probably the most beautiful inventions in the history of technology or mankind. It saved things. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago I saw, was it India or Egypt? I think it was India. They stopped a country. They converted everything with this mass protest, but they put it online for the world to see on Facebook. I don't know if that was Mark Zuckerberg's attempt or his mission. I think it was just a way to connect with people because he was trying to be one up on MySpace. And it was MySpace was kind of a colorful, unique way of us illustrating our personal hobbies, our colors, our likes, our wants, our music, all our flavor, right? It was cool. And then Facebook just came along and crushed it. And it was easier. And I found people I haven't seen in years, and I still haven't seen in years, but I can go there and I can click on them, and once in a while when I think of them, I go, oh wow, like, okay, out of the 2,000 people, I can't, like, okay, oh wow, I can think of this person once in a while, this person, or I can see their post pop up miraculously, and I thought, wow, that is what it's supposed to be about, right? And in the most powerful country in the world, we should be sharing ideas, how to eat better, how to light up the sky at night without using electricity. We should use the power of the sun. How to, take all the plastic out of the ocean and out of the garbage dumps and stuff and turn it into houses or roads or something. We don't do that, do we? No. Not much. I mean, not anybody I know. I'm trying to. That's why I'm working down here. That's why I'm trying to come up with ideas with my drones. I'm trying to think of new ideas to make fire safety or families or how to, cure people from, like even my kids, like if my son could conceal working out every day and being a good student and having everything he needed, what was the one component? And I see depression and suicide and all these negative things that are affecting people every single day. It's psychologists and doctors and Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz and Oprah and everybody else that's come along. They can't fix this in the most amazing country in the world. I mean, mental health is mental health. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different animal. I mean, some people are damaged from experiences, abuse, a plethora of reasons. But I'm going to start with me. And I'm going to start with what happened here. And hopefully, the next time I come back on here, even if I'm talking just to myself, it's therapeutical for me. I got these two girls, a friend of mine, his daughters, and they laugh when I always say therapeutical. But I'm going to use it tonight because it's my therapy to figure out how to deal with life. It's not a cry for help. It's not a grasp for sympathy. It's what can I do before I leave this planet? Whenever that may be, however, what can I do to help make it better? How can I make somebody's life better and brighter? Does that make sense? And I didn't realize that being positive, even in the worst possible pain that I have, is not well received on Facebook. It's not popular. It's not doing me any favors. It's not paying my bills. It's not putting me to a different level. It's actually pushing me to a different place, to make different decisions, to move to Florida soon, to change my life, to have my whatever, because I feel like I've made a lot of mistakes here with people, this place, a whole bunch of things. And I'm going to hurt some people. I'm going to hurt some people's feelings. I'm going to hurt people. And it's not going to be cool. But they can't stop me, no matter how much they've tried to help me, because after a while, if something doesn't work, you have to fix it. If you don't, if it's not broke, why fix it? But if it's broke, you have to repair it, and I have to repair myself. I have to repair my life, and that's where I'm going with it. So on that note, it's 10:56. This wasn't very musical except for that song that I dug out of here, because I know if I play music on YouTube, a buddy of mine told me how to, I forgot what he told me, and I usually remember everything, but I wasn't really listening to him. But I want to figure out how I can do some cool stuff. But I wanted to do this away from my normal thing over on Facebook. because I don't think everybody was quite getting it. And it affected me in a lot of ways, personally, and I thought, well, maybe I should just move on. And if this doesn't help me, then I've had videos on here. I had male strippers on here on the Icon since 2007. A buddy of mine owns a male strip show. Well, they're not working right now, out in Los Angeles. And, you know, I didn't want people to go, what is he got on his Facebook, or his, I keep saying Facebook, sorry, his YouTube profile. And I could have created a different one, but I've had this one for a long time, so I'm going to stick with that. So on that note, I think that before I go back to the other place, Facebook, I want to have, you know, I almost want to trick everybody. I almost want to go back and start talking negative, or not, I shouldn't say negative, just like, you know, making fun of people for whatever they aren't doing. I think the meaner you are, the more popular you become. I think bullyism, you know, I was worried about, you know, before I go, the one thing, and this is just my own personal diary to my son, you know, Dante, I was going to teach you, you know, how that first day you told me that you saw that kid and they called him the school shooter. And he had as many kids at his school, 2,000 plus kids, as I do on Facebook. It's kind of weird when you think about it. And he drove his car, and the kids were not letting him in. And he stopped his car on a busy day, the first week of school, with a million cars behind him, and he flagged the kid in. The kid was shocked. It's like, what? He looked up because Dad never saw his face, you know, his eyes before. And he let him in, and he goes, I did that one thing you told me to do. He goes, you know, wave at him like you meant to do it. And he did, and then later on inside of school, as he was in the hallway, Dante was in the hallway with a bunch of his friends. Remember this? And you told me this. He said, yeah, all my buddies were going, oh, there's the school shooter, let's make fun of him, or whatever, you know, not whatever they said. And he's going, you guys are idiots, man. What did he do to you? Like, you know, you guys are all morons. And he walked up to him, and he said, he put his hand on the kid's shoulder, and he said, listen, if you need anything from me, and, you know, come and see me. Don't worry about those knuckleheads over there. Don't worry about them, because I got you. All right? And the kid looked up and he smiled. He showed his teeth. Like, really? He goes, yeah. And he assured him that he was going to be there for him. And that was the first week of school. A few days later, my son died. You died. And you know, through everything I was going through, I'm thinking about that kid. And I know that I was picked on as a kid until I got pretty tough by the time I was in high school. And I used to protect people from being bullied. And I said this for weeks and weeks and weeks after Dante died. I said, you know, I'm going to try to do something to give back and be on behalf of my son, like No Kids Hungry, which is this charity. And I said, you know, I don't want people bullying people anymore, because it seems that we bring our kids up to be better than everybody else, and we make them bullies. And I realized watching Facebook, now that school, luckily this kid was probably happy they stopped school, but I'll be goddamned if I don't think that everybody out there is a fucking bully. In the name of Jesus fucking Christ. It's unbelievable. We become bullies. I think we're worse than the coronavirus, cancer, any frickin' protest out there. I really do. And I don't care if everybody on this planet hates me, because I'll fight my way out of it. I don't care. Or just come over it. You know, because I'd rather be right now, I am jealous of my son. If it wasn't for my daughters, I wouldn't be here. I've been so depressed the last couple days. I can't even breathe. And everybody around me's happy and giddy and, you know, whatever. Even with the, you know, a little stress and anxiety of everything going on. I've never been like this. I've never been like this. It's not just missing my boy. I feel like I'm stuck in a frickin' bad dream. I feel like I'm trapped in hell. I just do. I thought it was Superman. I did. The kids gave me this. All these things here. Look at this. I'm not anybody's hero. I should change that to a Z. Dad, you're my zero. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I just try to help people all the time. And I'm making enemies out of friends, and I'm making... I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not on Facebook right now. Just glad. Because I'm so mad. I'm so angry. I'm so pissed off. I don't know what to do, you know? Maybe I'm wasting my time. I know I wasted my time in Michigan. I know I need to just find maybe new friends, new people, new something. Here's a better place. I don't know. But I wish I could give back to people that cared. Maybe nobody cares. Maybe nobody cares at all. Not that many. Maybe the people, maybe the good Christians of the world are right, from the most beautiful country in the world. Maybe the old and the weak don't deserve to be here. They're sheep. They're weak. They're sheep. In the name of Jesus, in the name of God, they're weak. They should go. They don't deserve to be alive. They don't deserve to be here. You know, your son, your daughter, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your dad, your mom. You know, if they're afraid, stay home and die. I hear that all the time, every day. I'm in a nightmare. I'm in a nightmare and I can't get out of it. I'm glad I'm not on Facebook tonight. That's the blessing of YouTube. That's all I know. My daughter, Sophia, you know, when we sing Lovely Day together, I bounce around the house. I bounce around and I'm like, lovely day, even if I hit the notes wrong. You know, it's like, so there's hope out there. There's hope. I was even writing these songs. I was writing these songs for Dante. You know, yeah. There's another one. I got all kinds. Got my keyboards down here. I know it sounds depressing. I'm not trying to be depressing. I'm just tired of watching. It's like breaking up a big fight over here, and okay, you guys, all right, you guys good, and then another fight breaks out, and another fight, and another fight. After a while, you just get tired. You get frustrated because it's like, okay, when's this going to end? When are people going to get together? When are people going to look out for each other? When are people going to look out for each other? When are people going to look out for each other? When are people going to fucking look out for each other? They're not. They should be ashamed of themselves. Every time they do that, they should burn down a church. They did. Or whatever religious facility out there. And they should put an American flag in its place when it's done, because this is what I think. Oh, Chris, you lost it. You snapped. Really? I'm not the one who's telling people. I'm not calling people names. And look at me. Who looks like me? Nobody. Look at that hair. I do got good hair. I love you, buddy. I love you, man. You know, they don't see all the pictures. They probably see the pictures behind me. Whoever will watch this. But for you and me, bro, I just wish I could, oh man, I just wish I could do something better. It's like the harder I try, the worse it gets. The harder I try, the worse it gets. And I'm ready to just throw in the towel with that stuff, man. I mean, I'll go back to Facebook. I'll go back to Facebook. Hey, everybody, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on? Hey, you want a car, and you want a car. It's 11:06. I don't know if I'll keep this one up or not for my first one, but I just needed to just. It's like going to I remember when I was a young kid, you know, we used to confess on a Saturday. I think it was once a week or once a month. I can't remember. We'd confess to a priest. They did a little sliding door, you know, like you see in the movies, and they would go, confess your sin. And it was like, you were like embarrassed because you're like, you didn't want to tell them everything you did wrong, but it felt good when you got done. It was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, 10 Hail Marys. All right, that's all I got to do. You know, I killed the kid next door. No, I'm just kidding. Or I stole that thing, and you know, it's like it was easy, right? Life isn't that easy. It isn't that easy. It isn't 10 Hail Marys and whatever with a rosary. It's more than that. I just wish somebody would tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything right anymore. Oh man. Brother. I don't know. I don't know. I just wish I could just tell everybody, you know, like that song, to be or not to be. To be or not to be. That is the question at the beginning. And you know what? There's a reason I must have picked that song, because the only way your opinion matters, my opinion matters, is if I can make a difference, if I can help somebody. You know, if you don't like my way of thinking, or if I don't like your way of thinking, let's just go, okay. Let's see what happens and hope for the best. But it's just gotten out of control. And how is this stuff all happening after? I mean, wasn't it hard enough? Wasn't it hard enough getting through the holidays by myself? Wasn't it hard enough, you know, running out of money in this whole nightmare? And then all of a sudden, all this other stuff popped up. 2020. And that's it. You know? I don't know. It just wasn't a good weekend. It just wasn't a good weekend. I'm trying to figure out how to make it a better weekend. Better week. I promise the next one will be better. I just needed to let... This is my shoulder here. This is a shoulder I had to cry on tonight. I did. And the Facebook family's probably going, thank God he's not here anymore. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Anybody snuck in and goes, what's he doing? What's he doing tonight? So, I wish I could sing a song, but they'll probably kick me off. Because every time, YouTube's really sensitive about that. I got to figure out if a karaoke song, because Facebook never picked up on the karaoke when you sing that. It's kind of cool. But I'm gonna have a better one next time. This one I just had to unload. I was looking for that one time I could just unload. And I wasn't feeling this bad before. I wasn't feeling this bad before. And I think that a lot of people that have, you know, looked at me and perceived me as being this guy that was super strong, could handle it, and got through a lot of things for the last several months. I mean, how, you know, they say there's that straw that breaks the camel's back. It isn't the straw that broke the camel's back. It's all the other weight. And he just finally gave in. And that's where I feel. I feel like I just had my back broke. My broke back. It's like Brokeback Mountain. No. I wish this could cure me. Neosporin, brought to you by Neosporin. But that's not going to help. There's got to be some magic. I got to make some magic happen. I got to trust this process. I got to trust this process. if you're out there in the YouTube world and you never seen me before, this was my son's thing. He goes, Dad, trust the process. Trust the process. And when he died, a friend of his sent me this. He sent me this, and another one he sent me. It was called God's Plan because Dante loved Drake's song God's Plan, but he also wanted to know God's plan. Isn't that weird? Well, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm tired. I've never been this worn out in my life. Never. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hope I get stronger from this point forward. I do. But at the same time, I hope the good people of this world, if there's any left, get stronger, get better, deal with this. I don't know. I feel like I almost like normally I have the right thing to say, the right attitude, even when I'm not feeling it. And tonight I just feel like I'm completely stripped of everything. I have no armor. I've got no ammunition. I've got this weird attitude. There's the AAA right there, right? And so I'm glad I'm not on Facebook right now, because I know they would judge me. They would judge me. Not everybody, but a good handful, which is fine. I just don't need to make it easier. So on behalf of my son, Dante Anthony Rain Gonzalez, and my daughters, let me see here. Try to get rid of this one thing. And all the good people in the world that are trying to get through it, rise above it, and get to that better place, but don't know how. You know, try to lift each other up. Stand on somebody's shoulders and let them stand on yours, I guess. I don't know. I mean, are we capable of that? Are we capable of that anymore? I don't know. I may not get there with you. Said that Martin Luther. But you know, that's my dream. That's my dream, is that people, you know, I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to care about people. It's not that hard to help people. I guess it seems to be the easier of the two to hurt people and not help them. I don't get that. I don't get that. But, you know, they told me a long time ago, it's an evil planet. You know, like I said, Earth, it's a great place to visit. I just wouldn't want to live here. I'm Dante's dad. I'm their dad. I am their dad. And, I don't know what the heck, I don't know what happened to this place. I've never felt like this in my life. I'm glad this is my first one, because you know what? This way, it's like the first episode of Cheers, or one of those episodes where they kind of suck, but they still they make it to the second episode, and that second episode saves them from the first one. That's kind of what this is. But you have to understand something. I didn't make this world crazy. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did, and I still am trying to do stuff that I'm not physically or mentally supposed to be capable of doing. But I don't understand why nobody else is doing it, except famous people. Except famous people. I haven't inspired anybody. That's what I really think is the magical answer that just popped in my head that I was looking for. I haven't inspired anybody. So why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I'm hoping one thing is that I realize that, and I tried it with Dante 10 when I invited a bunch of people and I had 300 people, but I realized that it's not 300 people. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm afraid to go outside. I don't even want to talk to people anymore. I want to be an introvert like my daughter. I used to be able to walk into a room with 100 people, 1,000 people. It didn't matter. I wasn't afraid of it. I was happy to be there, and I wasn't famous. I'm not like like The Rock walks into a room and a million people go crazy. I walk in a room and they're like, who's that guy? Who's that weird looking guy? And that's fine. I get it. But now I feel like I don't even want to be. I want to, like, even my gym. I don't even feel comfortable in my gym anymore. I don't know any of the people in there anymore. I don't feel. It's not a, hey, how you doing, Chris? How you doing? It's like, hey, are you using that machine still? I'm like, Jesus, God, this is what it's come down to. I don't feel good anymore. I don't feel like I belong here anymore. And this part's easy to move. It's just smoke and mirrors, literally smoking things. But I mean, behind it's just a basement. I can take this anywhere. Florida, I got a nicer place than this waiting for me. I can't wait. But I tried to do everything in my power for my daughters and to help people at the same time. And I just wish somebody would tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything right. But in the YouTube world, if you're out there and you have gone through what I'm going through, or you think like I think, or you feel like I feel, let me know. Let me know. And if not, that's okay. It's a journey. It's I don't know what's next, and nobody has given me any answers. Nobody, except my buddy in Florida. I'm grateful for that. So, anyway, let me turn this on. It's a bad habit. Fog machine. It's actually a hazer. Subtle difference. Anyway, what was I going to say? I don't know, Dante. Your dad's an idiot today. So, I'm just trying to figure out why nothing makes sense anymore. Does that make sense? My little catchphrase, right? Okay. Well, on that note, I'm going to just say I would love to apologize for how I said things today, but I'm not, because I'm just being raw. I'm just being real, and I didn't know how I was going to say anything tonight, and I'm not trying to make anybody mad or sad or angry or scared or anything. I'm just like that, that person that looks all, and they go in the room and they scream into a pillow or something. That's what I feel like. This is my screaming into the pillow show. Except I don't have a pillow. Where's the pillow? Anyway. All right, it's 11:20. I went into overtime, and I hope everybody has a great night, if anybody's out there. And if you see this during the day or some other time, I don't know. I'm still wondering what I'm going to feel like when I watch this later on the playback, to see if I'm even doing anything I'm supposed to be doing. I want to learn from my mistakes. I want to learn from my negative energy. I want to learn from my pain. And that's kind of what I'm doing today. I'm just letting it off. I'm getting naked. I should just get naked right now. But I think we all need that sometimes, just to let it hang out. Say what you're going to say. It's like some people, when they get drunk, they say all the wrong things, and then they wake up the next day hungover, go, did I really say that? We're not friends anymore. Do normal guys do this? Do normal people do this? I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't talk about anything. I don't see anybody doing it. Like I said, I can just go back to Facebook world and start a war. They said this, burn them. That seems to be the popular consensus. I just don't have that. I just don't have that inside of me, man. I just don't. I don't. I'd rather let you guys all have that, or whoever. I'd rather let them have that, and just go into a. If I could live in a cave the rest of my life, or somewhere far away by myself, I would do it, and I'd be happy. That would be happy. I would be happier. So, but in the meantime, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out who I can inspire and who can inspire me. It's just that simple. Times 10. So, have a good night. Dante, I miss you, bro. I miss you so much, man. It kills me. I don't know if it's you that hurts me inside, or the rest of the world, or this coronavirus / lung cancer I have. I mean, I don't know what is in my chest. All right, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. And thank you for thank you. All right, that's it. Good night.